Okay, hello everyone. Today we are going to deal with another topic in CSS, that is soft skills. Under soft skills you have different topics, that is positive attitude. Next one is the SWOT analysis, body language, netiquette, emotional intelligence. We'll see all these topics in detail. Already you have learned all this in your class and we are doing a revision session here. So again we'll do a brief introduction of all these things and I'll explain each and every matter in a clear way. So first we'll go with soft skills. What is soft skills? What is the need of soft skills nowadays? Why the particular subject CSS, communication and soft skills have been introduced in the academics? Why it is lacking in the students? This all we can say that the present generation, they are living in a nuclear family system and they don't know the values of the elders and they don't know how to communicate with the what we can say the other persons in the society. And the another reason for this soft skills, importance of this soft skills is that when you go after the completion of the degree, when this particular student goes for a job, see there is a lacking of government jobs. So they have to opt for the private sectors. When they go for a private sector for job purpose, they need, because the particular company or the organization, they have a link with the public, and the employee who is employed there in the organization must have to communicate with the persons, with the customers through online or through mobile or through net or whatever it is. So when they communicate, if they lack these soft skills, the company has to see the downfall. So here we are going to see the soft skills topic and how it is going to play an important role in personal as well as in the professional life. In personal life, see, if you see the present generations to boys and girls, you may see in their family lives or in their study academics also, they can't cope up with the other person easily because they are lacking the skills, the cooperation skills, right? Interpersonal skills. They can't understand the emotion of the other persons easily. So here in this section we are going to learn how soft skills are going to change our lives. Now soft skills and managerial skills. First we will see the definition of soft skill. Okay, soft skills and managerial skills play vital role in personal as well as professional life. Success of an individual. These skills help an individual to excel in the workplace. Excel means to surpass, to exceed in his workplace and to become an excellent communicator. So communication skills are required when you want to excel in your workplace. If you won't communicate with the people who are working with you, then how they are going to coordinate with you? Okay, right? So inspiring leader as well as good team player. If you are a good team player, definitely you will take all the other persons together with you, and definitely you will reach your success and you will reach your goal, you will reach your destiny. An effective person. In the present era of this competitive, complex and challenging environment, every student, it has become very tough for every student to compete in this competitive world. So in this competitive world, if you want to excel in every field, then the importance of these skills are required and has to be assured, added significant. In the present new job market paradigm, means a paradigm, different soft and managerial skills are needed. What are needed? Different soft and managerial, means how to manage. The management skills are required to achieve personal growth and professional growth. If you want a promotion in your job or in your career, then you have to go with these soft skills. If one excels in these skills, definitely there is no blockage or no hurdle in their career. These skills help the individual to attain higher levels of excellence irrespective of his or her profession. Whatever the profession is, if they acquire these soft skills, definitely no one is going to beat them. Next, soft skills are a sociological term. that includes all those skills which are related with interpersonal behavior. Interpersonal behavior means how you move with the other people in the society, such as communication skills, emotional intelligence, etiquette means the behavior, general attitude, social grace, team spirit, etc. Social grace, right? Soft skills are the abilities required and expected from persons for finding suitable jobs, their maintenance and promotions. If the person is having such abilities, communication skills, emotional intelligence, etiquette, general attitude, and social grace means social skills, how to move with the people in the society, and he is having a team spirit, definitely he will acquire the promotion in his career, and even in his life he will lead a peaceful and healthy life. There are certain skills which are needed to perform various jobs. For example, performing accounting job. This is the one skill. Everyone can't do this accounting work, right? One should have the analytical skills and the knowledge of accountancy. That is their skill. Everyone has some or other skills. So the person who is having the accounting skill or the analytical skills, these skills are known as technical or hard skills, which are necessary to effectively perform particular job in the organization. If he want to get success in his job, if he is perfect in accountancy, then this skill is going to take him to the top. But including that, he to have some soft skills also. These skills tend to be more job specific and more closely related to the actual task being performed. But there are certain skills which tend to be more generic in nature and are key to effective performance across all job categories. These are related with interpersonal relationships. Soft skills are what? Interpersonal relationship means how you are maintaining relationship with the people around you. These skills are called soft skills. These skills are the general attitudes or behavior a person displays in interaction among individual. The attitude topic we are going to discuss in the later slide. In nutshell, in shortcut, soft skill is broad sense include all those skills which are related with interaction with other human beings. What is soft skill? Soft skill in short we can say that it is an interaction with other human beings in a positive manner. If you interact with the other human beings in a positive manner, that is called a soft skill. Means you are dealing with a person in a soft manner, not in a harsh. That we'll discuss later on. Such soft skills include communication skill, how you are communicating with that person. Is it a soft manner or is it in a harsh way? Interpersonal skill, how you communicate with others. Ethical behavior, how is your behavior, whether it is good or bad. Positive attitude, your way of thinking or looking at things, how is it? And a team player, are you a good team player? Are you taking all the other members together with you? Are you playing singly? Okay, leadership qualities means encouraging the other persons who are with you, along with you, how you are encouraging them. And creativity, having innovative ideas and ability to value diversity means ability to value the other cultural differences also. Soft skills are very important to handle interpersonal relationship. Is to handle interpersonal relationship, to communicate effectively. When there is a clash in a family or in a company or in employees or in between colleagues, the only thing lacking is that we can't able to handle the relationship. That is lacking interpersonal relationship. Okay, if we understand the emotion of the other person, definitely we can manage to handle all this relationship and our life will be move very softly. To have good impression and impact upon others. Honing soft skills. Means mastering these soft skills involves developing attitude and aptitude and fine-tuning communication skills to express attitudes, ideas and thoughts in a best possible manner. If you have a good communication skills, if you have a good soft skills, then you can show your attitude, your ideas and your thoughts in a best possible manner without hurting the other person. So now we'll see some soft skills. These soft skills include following. First one is communication skills. Under communication skill, all LSRW skills will come. That is listening skill, speaking skill, reading skill and writing skill. Then body language skill. We have a specific topic on this, body language skills. Electronic communication skills means having skills which are to be included in your personal life. Next one is interpersonal skills. First one we have seen communication skills. Under communication skills we have seen LSRW skills, then body language skills we have seen, and in interpersonal skills we are going to see ethical behavior, the behavior which is appreciated with everyone, the good behavior we can say, the moral behavior. Okay, positive personal attitude, the way of thinking, okay, that should be in positive way. Next one is valuing cultural diversity, valuing other cultures also. Flexibility and adaptability. You should be flexible, not rigid, and adaptability to any type of situation. Next one is emotional intelligence. It is similar to IQ intelligence quotient. This is also a specific topic we have. We'll deal with it. Commit suicides or do some or other harm to other people or to himself. The thing is, they can't able to manage their stress. If you are so stressed, then share your stress with someone whom you trust. Okay, next one, event management skills. So these are few skills everyone should learn. Next one, we'll go with the topic attitude. What attitude is? Everyone, you might have heard that saying that change your attitude, change your attitude. What attitude sense? Attitude sense that it is a way of looking at things or the world. Okay, broadly speaking, attitude is a way of looking at things or the person. Okay, in our perceptions of the world based on our thoughts, desires and experiences. Our attitude change on our thoughts, desires and the experiences what we have faced in our life in past. Even the past experiences also changes our attitude. Attitude, if you see the definition of attitude, attitude is not a simple. It's not simple, it is not fixed, it is not one dimensional concept, it is not superficial on surface, it is complex and dynamic, energetic. Okay, it can be learned. Attitude can also be changed. For that you have to put continuous effort on changing the habit. Okay, a business dictionary defines attitude as some respond them in a positive manner, some says in a negative way. So we can see variations of their ideas according to the situation. It always changes the person and the situation. Attitude influences not only the choices we make but also how we respond to the situation. How we respond to the situation is also important. It influences not only the choices but also the how we respond to the situation. Next one, attitude consists of 4 components, major components. First one is emotions or feelings, how we feel about something. Second one, belief or opinions held consciously, what we think. This is how we feel, this is how we think. Next one is inclination for action. What's your feeling towards the particular work? Okay, whether you are interested towards it or not. The next one is positive or negative response to someone. How you are feeling, whether it is positive or negative. So attitude consists of 4 major components. First one is how we feel, how we think, how we do And next one is what is our thought regarding that particular action, whether we are willing or unwilling to do. Next one, according to C.T. Morgan, an eminent professor of psychology, says about a brief introduction of attitude that a person's attitude can be conferred or inferred from the things a person does. If the person does all the good things, automatically people start saying that he's a good attitude person, he's having a good attitude. If the person does bad things or he does some wrong in the society, definitely the people start saying that he is a person of bad attitude. So by the person's attitude can be concluded from the things a person does. It has a powerful influence on a person's preferences, what he prefer, and on his or her behavior. So on three things: what he does, what's his choice, and what his preferences. Depending on this, the society or the person is judged, right? According to him, attitude has three essential components. What are they? The feeling component. Next one is the cognitive component, means the mental component, and the action component. On the basis of the description of attitude given above, we can conclude that an attitude is what we can say, attitude is a mental state. Attitude is a mental state. In short, we can say that attitude is a mental state, is largely shaped by a person's beliefs, feelings, values and experiences. So attitude is largely shaped of the person's beliefs, his feelings, his experiences. This is the important thing. Attitude always based on the experiences of the person, influences the way we look at or evaluate people, actions, situations or objects, ideas or issues, and the way we react to them. And our reaction, and we have already I said about a child who has been fallen when he was playing. Then we have seen the different type of people, family members, their attitude, their past experience might have shown in their experiences, right, in their thoughts, objects, ideas and or issues, and the way we react to them in turn influences a person's likes and dislikes and determine whether we respond positively or negatively towards someone or something. Next, attitude. This is the important point. You should learn that attitude, like behavior, as behavior is learned, attitude can also be learned. By seeing your favorite actor is playing some good role in one movie, you'll start behaving like him. So what you're doing there, you're learning his behavior. So in the same way, attitude can also be learned as a behavior. Okay, we can do this by either observing others or imitating them. We have seen small children watching the Chhota Bheem serial and the cartoon, and they start imitating him and they start behaving like that same, right, Chhota Bheem. So their attitude, in the same way, the attitude in elders can also be changed, and it can also be changed by learning. When our beliefs, opinions and feelings cause to behave consistently, means constantly or continuously in a characteristic way while dealing with diverse situation, if we start dealing with the same situation, means continuously with different situations, in the same way our opinions and feelings, they become our attitude. They become our attitude. As mentioned above, some social psychologists have studied attitude in terms of the following three components. What are those? The feeling component, how you feel about something or about some situation or about seeing some people or something. So this is an effective emotional response that experience an individual's choice or preference for a particular object based on his feelings and desires. Here we have one example. I feel upset when I see working people in a poor condition. Right? It is the emotional response of that particular individual when he or she sees the particular people in that particular situations. They cause little bit upset. So it's a feeling component. Second one is the cognitive component. It is the mental evaluation or the mental judgment of a particular person. Previously we have seen a feeling. This is the mental evaluation of an object on the basis of the belief or opinion that a person holds about that particular object. It's a mental evaluation about that. Suppose if I feel if a person have a mental already he fixed that particular person is bad, so his experience, his past experience always tells him that the particular so and so person is bad. Though he does a good thing also, he's mentally fixed that the person is bad in his nature. So here that a person holds about that particular object or a particular person. For example, I think that in our society illiteracy is responsible for deprivation of citizens. Means the living standard is low. Why? Because illiteracy is the main reason according to my mental evaluation. Next one, action component. When I have evaluated mentally that the illiteracy is the main reason for the deprivation of citizen, then what my action should be? I will start acting, I will start motivating the people to become literate, or I'll teach them. Okay, so that the whatever you think, feeling, first one is a feeling component. When you felt, then you start thinking cognitively, then you will just implement all those things in your action now. This is a typical behavior tendency of an individual determined by his or her feeling or opinion, right? For example, I have volunteered. This is another example we have. I have volunteered to spread awareness about the importance of conserving the planet, for saving the planet, and will therefore campaign. For that, what I'll do, I'll start campaigning in cities to reduce consumption of plastic. This is the action component I'm going to start. So attitude, in short, we can say that attitude is a combination of all these three components, that is feeling component, cognitive component and action component, since they are all interconnected. Next one, we'll go with positive attitude. People used to say that think positively, think positively. Is it possible to think always positively? If you think positive, what happens? What saves? If you think positively, definitely your energy is going to be saved. But it is not so easy as it is said. It needs practice. Until and unless you practice daily, every moment of your life, you can't achieve this one. So positive attitude definition set by Mahatma Gandhi, a quotation, simply superb. Now just listen to it. Keep your thoughts positive. In a day, throughout a day, man creates 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts per a day. In that 60 to 70,000 thoughts, how many thoughts are positive and how many are negative? How many thoughts are useful and how many thoughts are unnecessary? We're simply wasting our energy in those thoughts. So see, first thought you have to create. What is the keep your thoughts positive? Be positive always, though it is tough, though it is hard, but you have to practice so that you can save your energy and you can save your relationship. So keep your thoughts positive, because your thoughts become your words. When you thought positively, when you're cool, when you are in a relaxed mind, when you think, definitely your words will come in a positive manner, so it won't hurt other person. Right? What's the first point? Keep your thoughts positive, because your thoughts become your words. Keep your words positive, because your words becomes your behavior. What is first one is the thought. If thought is positive, definitely the words are going to be positive. If words are positive, your behavior is going to be positive. If your behavior is positive, then behavior becomes your habit. When your habits are positive, habits becomes your values. When your values are positive, then it becomes your destiny. Right? So it is a quotation said by Mahatma Gandhi. Now we'll see. A positive attitude is indicative of a person's optimistic outlook. Optimistic outlook means looking good in everything, in every perspective of life, whether it is a good or bad. If you see the story of Harishchandra, Raja Harishchandra, though he faced lot of troubles in his life, then he won't change his behavior or the attitude of saying lies. Okay, he always said truth. So his or her belief that they can overcome challenges and can achieve success by positive thinking. What is it? Overcome challenges, whatever hurdles comes in your life, whatever it may be. Every problem has a solution. You have learned in mathematics that every problem has a solution. In the same way in your life also, whatever challenges, whatever problems comes, definitely it will have some or other solution, but some comes very quickly, some takes time. For that, you have to be very patient without losing any hopes. So when a person responds constructively to stress, this is the main thing that everyone has to implement, that whenever you feel stress, be in a cool situation, don't get tense, take suggestion from your elders or from your friends whom you trust. Okay, has the confidence to deal with problem and tries to find opportunities in every situation. Try to find the opportunities in every situation. He or she is said to have a positive attitude. If you remember a story of a girl in your inter first year, when you have read that Pebble story, thinking out of the box, lateral thinking, in that a girl, when the money lender started cheating them, his father and her, that he is going to marry her, then what the girl did at the last situation, she just instead of losing her hopes, she start thinking in a lateral way, in a different manner, that how I should come out from this solution, from this problem. So one or the other way she got an idea and she just escaped herself and his father from that trouble. So in the same way, everyone has to face some or other problems in their life, but the thing is they have to think positively and they have to search for the opportunity in that bad situation also. See this one. Instead of seeing problems and failures as a stumbling blocks to achieve success, he or she treats failures as stepping stone to success. So we have so many legends, we can say that, okay, who have seen lot of failures in their life, still they have not lost their hopes till the end. Like we can see the example of KFC chicken, Colonel Sanders' son. So at the age of 60 or plus 60, he got the achievement, right? Until that he was just trying with his recipe. Okay, like Thomas Alva Edison. We have so many examples, but we just enjoy reading those books. But when the problems or the hurdles comes in our life, in our real life, we just feel upset and we get depressed. So taking them as your inspiration, and whenever you feel depressed or when you feel that you won't get any solution, definitely sit in a cool position and start thinking what the solution of coming out from this problem. Here are some of the characteristics of the positive attitude. First one, people with a positive attitude. The person who is having a positive attitude believe we have a choice. that our happiness and success depend on how we choose or to think and what to choose to do. They have two choices, whether we have to choose a happiness or you have to choose sadness. So definitely the person who is having a positive attitude, he will go with a happy, right? Happiness only. They do not worry without good reason, because they know that every problem has a some or other solution. Unnecessarily though, they won't get worried and they won't get upset, okay, or depressed. They know that although certain situations are beyond one's control, sometimes the situation may not be under control, their control, okay, then at that time also we can choose how to deal with them, okay. It enables them to function productively and efficiently, both in their personal lives and their professional sphere. It works in both places, in personal life and in professional life also. If you have the what you can say, if you have the talent to deal with such type of problems, whenever the problems comes, whenever the hurdles comes, then if you think in a positive manner, definitely you will get some or other solutions, so that you can lead a happy, healthier, peaceful life. People with a positive attitude often have a large circle of friends. So what they have a large circle, means friend circle is huge, because everyone likes to talk to them, everyone wants to share their problems with them, because when they share, when they talk, when they move with them, they feel very comfortable and they can easily share their sorrows with them, so that they just trust that person and they start sharing all the issues with them. And so that, because the other person also gives some suggestion, so that they satisfy the other person, right? As they are very good social skills and can communicate effectively, right? Their enthusiasm creates a friendly atmosphere. The person with positive attitude, when the person is there, his enthusiasm, his happiness creates a friendly atmosphere, and everyone likes to spend time with him, and earns people's trust by making them feel comfortable, and everyone feels comfortable in his company. So if the person is of a positive attitude, definitely he will have a good friend circle, and everyone will feel comfortable with him, and everyone will share their problems with him and start trusting him. They make good team leaders. The person with positive attitude, he won't be selfish enough, he won't think of himself, he will make the other people to also come forward with his own skills. So they are good team leaders, because they are supportive and encouraging. They start encouraging the other person or the other people who are in their company, okay. They also know how to bring out the best from the people in any situation, okay. They have the caliber that they can bring the people's best in any situation. Next one, they are good decision makers. The person who is of positive thinking, he is a good decision maker. Once he has taken a decision, he won't feel regret for it. Okay, why I have taken this decision, whatever good or bad the consequences may be, he will face everything with a smile. As they focus on relevant things, when faced with problems, they find ways to solve the problems rather than blame people. Instead of blaming people, they will start finding the solution for it, right? The person who is of good positive attitude, he will never blame people on his decision or others' decision, okay. They are result oriented, they are just focused on the result or the consequences, the last goal, and thus an asset to any organization or institution. So people of positive attitude are a great asset to any company or organization, or it can be a institution. Developing and maintaining a positive attitude needs continuous effort. What does it need? It needs a positive continuous effort. A person has to identify the negative traits, negative habits or negative qualities in his or her personality. They have to do SWOT analysis process. What are the positive, what are the weaknesses and what are the strengths. In the same way, they have to find what negative in him is there. Then he or she has to systematically and diligently, very carefully work at replacing those with positive ones. Suppose a person have a negative trait. He is having all the good qualities, but he is having one negative trait. He always lies. So this negative trait, he has to, all of a sudden he can't change his habit, so he has to change it by systematically and very carefully, so that he can completely become a positive attitude person. This can be done by adopting positive thinking and practicing. It becomes a habit. Until it becomes a habit, you have to practice it, because practice makes man perfect, we have seen. Now, developing a positive attitude. It is now a well documented fact that our thoughts have tremendous, see, our thoughts, only our thoughts make the person think positive and make the person think negative. Only these thoughts makes the person to move ahead and to make the person draw back. Okay, it is now a well documented fact that our thoughts have tremendous influence on our actions, thereby on our achievements. So thoughts have an impact on our actions and on our achievements both. However, our mind not distinguish between positive and negative thoughts. Whether you think you can and you think you can't. You are right, said Henry Ford, the famous American industrialist and the founder of a Ford Motor Company. Thus, faith in ourselves, this is the important thing. Thus, faith in ourselves, our self-confidence and our can-do attitude make us focus strongly on our actions. When you have faith in yourselves, when you have a self-confidence, then definitely it will show in your actions, which eventually help us to achieve our goals. On the other hand, if we think negatively and are doubtful about achieving our goals, when you have a doubt that I can't, then whatever the opportunities you get, definitely you can't focus on it and you won't get your destiny, or you can't reach your goal. Our doubts come, be it an examination or a career, relationship or life in general. Expecting good things to happen and always looking for the best in any situation is a reflection of positive attitude, which holds the key of health and success. When you think positive in every situation of your life, whether it is an examination or whether it is a relationship, or it can be any general thing in your life, it can be a friendship, it can be between relatives. So expecting good thing, every person expects good in every moment of his life, but it never happens. Okay, sometimes you have to see bad and good also. Whenever the bad comes in your life, you have to take in a positive manner, in a good way, and you have to think in a positive manner. So that why we are thinking, we have to be selfish here in your thoughts, because if you think positively, definitely your thought will have effect on your health and on your success. If you focus only on the negative thoughts, when you have the time to focus on your success? So success, to get success in your life, you have to focus more on your thoughts. What type of thoughts are running in your mind? It is a matter of whether we see a glass half full. If you see a glass, this is a glass. If the water is filled up till here, If I ask you, some may find that it is a half filled glass. Some may say that it is a half empty glass. It's the way of looking at the thing. Everyone won't see the glass in the same manner. For someone it seems that their glass is half filled. For some it is half empty. Okay. For example, a person may get unsatisfactory result in an examination or unsatisfactory appraisal at work. Immediately what happens? The person who get unsatisfactory result in the examination, the student is going to commit suicide. Or unsatisfactory appraisal at the workplace from the boss, if he won't get any appreciation, what he will think? He will just start thinking in a negative way that how much work I do for this company, but I never get any appreciation or any compensation from this company or whatever it is. So what happens here? Only the thinking. What thinking? Why I didn't get any appreciation from the company or from my boss? If he thinks, okay, I might have done any mistake or I didn't satisfy my boss, there might be some lagging in my work. Okay, so next time if I put my maximum effort, definitely my boss is going to be satisfied with my work. If he thinks in that way, definitely one or the other day he will get success. Unless what happens, the person with that attitude that I will stop working in this company or I won't get any appreciation, definitely I will quit and I'll search for some other job. If he thinks in that way, he will never be settled in his life. So the person with a positive attitude will see a need for better strategy. He will find that I have to do much but better work here. Suppose if I have given you some assignment or some project work is given to you, I expected a much better project presentation from you, but I didn't appreciate you. I just said okay. The person who is two students bought the project. One I appreciated a lot, the other one I didn't appreciate. The person whom I appreciated, okay, if he takes or she takes it in a positive manner, he will continue with the same effort. And the second student whom I didn't appreciate, what he or she will do that, okay, how much effort I have put in this project, then also ma'am has not appreciated me, it's waste of time. If he thinks in that way, definitely he won't excel in her life. So what happens? He or she has to find a solution. Why teacher appreciated that girl and why didn't she appreciated me? So if she start finding the solution for it, then she will definitely rectify her mistake, and for the next time definitely he or she will excel in their work. So we'll see a need for better strategy and hard work. A person with a negative attitude will take this as a reflection of his capability and sit back. What he will do? He will stop. He won't put any effort. He will just give up. Now see this one. Research in the emerging field of positive psychology reveals that optimism, looking positive in all the things of an individual, has a positive impact of his mental health. If the person looks in an optimistic way in all the things, it has an impact of mental health. If the person is having a good mental health, definitely he will have a good positive thinking. It has also been found that people with optimistic attitude are sick less. So you have a double profit here. Your health is good and mental health is good and you are less sick. okay, and your life is long also, span is also long than the other people. This is mainly because a positive outlook on life strengthens the immune and cardiovascular system. It increases your immunity power also. The person with positive thinking have a lot of strength and stamina also, and the cardiovascular system is the heart also functions properly, thereby increasing the body's ability to handle stress and disease. Definitely in this time of corona COVID-19, you all have to be in a have to think, you have to think in a positive manner, and you all have to be in a positive attitude that definitely one or the other day is going to be, we are all get rid of this COVID, right? The Pygmalion effect. Next one is the Pygmalion effect is a very popular example of positive thinking. What is it actually? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Self-fulfilling prophecy means believing whatever you think, it's going to happen. If you think positive, it's going to be positive. So where believing in something can make it happen, if you think that it's going to happen, definitely it's going to be. Okay, the effect is also seen when others like teachers, parents, leaders think positively about our capabilities. In a class, if a teacher appreciates one student, that you have the caliber, you can do, you have lot of memory power, you have lot of caliber, whatever you want you can definitely achieve in your life. If the teacher find that skill, that quality in a particular child, when she appreciates her or she, what happens, that quality definitely makes that person to think positive about others, and she will think about herself also and see us in more positive light and believe in our capabilities. Definitely if you don't have the belief in your capabilities, the others have a belief, and definitely that in turn reinforces our belief in ourselves. That although that boosting will definitely help us to reinforce, to make it strong in our beliefs also. Definitely then we will achieve our goals. Now self-efficacy. What is self-efficacy? Self-efficacy is a judgment of one's own capability, the planning, the strategy, and the how we execute our work attains to designated goals. It is our planning strategy, how we plan to reach our goal is self-efficacy. If the person with high self-efficacy have higher self-confidence, if your planning is good, if you have you have the confidence of your own capabilities, then definitely your confidence level is high and success is also high. People with higher self-efficacy will continue to strive hard, however challenging the situation may be, till they succeed. Whatever the challenging situation arises in your life, definitely you won't give up in middle. You will succeed until you get success. So the person who won't give up in middle, it means that their self-efficacy is very high. If you see the example of Arunima Sinha, a first lady, amputated lady who climbed Mount Everest. Yes, her self-efficacy is very high, because with that one leg she climbed the Mount Everest in that harsh climate also. So they do not take no. This is not possible for you. Leave it, give it up. If you such type of questions or answers, they won't accept. They can't accept that. They just believe in themselves and their their abilities for an answer, and as easily as the people with low self-efficacy, the people who has low self-efficacy, with one trial they just give up. They say that it is not possible for me, it is very hard. But the person with high self-efficacy, he will try and try and try until they get success. Now here we are going to see some tips or some steps to improve our self-concept and self-esteem, self-respect. Okay, Now, always prepare your SWOT analysis or SWOT analysis by maintaining a diary. List your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and challenges. Work towards improving your strengths and minimizing your weaknesses. Suppose you are lacking communication skills. You can't mingle with the people easily. Suppose you are having a lacking, you can't your English fluency is not so good. So that is your weakness. If you think how to make that, convert that weakness into a strength, so you have to work on it. How I can minimize this weakness and how can I change this weakness into my strength? There is some or other solution for it, definitely. Next one, accept yourself as you are. How you are, just accept yourself. Don't start imitating others or don't try to become like others. Okay, so accept as you are. Okay, and not as you think you should be. Actually, we start accepting or imagining that we should be like actress, a particular actress or a particular hero or a particular heroine. But no, if you start imagining yourself in that way, if you find that you are not looking like that, then you will be feeling upset. So instead of comparing with them, just accept yourself as you are, then you will be a happiest person. Ask a friend whom you trust to indicate your strengths and weaknesses. So when you select your friend, you have to be very cautious whether the person is genuine or not, because the person whom you trust or whom you make your friend, he should be very genuine or trustworthy, so that he can tell your strengths and weaknesses very frankly or freely. Learn to appreciate others. This is the quality everyone should have. If your friend or if a girl whom you know, she wears a nice dress, and just by seeing that, don't just ignore her. Just go and appreciate her that your dress is looking nice or you're looking gorgeous today. And do not hesitate to tell them how much you appreciate them. Okay, this quality definitely will change a way of thinking in you. Learn to accept compliments from others gracefully. If you get some compliments, take it in a graceful manner. Observe your thoughts and emotions every time. Okay, what you have to observe, that how you're thinking and what are your emotions, and learn to express them in a right manner and in the right context. Okay, this is the important point you have to keep. Next one, when you feel your self-esteem is low, your self-respect is going low, then what you have to think, that you might have done some good work in your life. Just imagine, just go think about it and boost your energy. Okay, self-esteem is low, objectively analyze your mistake. Then definitely you will analyze what mistake you have done, and in future definitely you won't repeat it. Think of your strength at that time. When you realize that you have done a mistake, don't feel upset. Then think of your strength and remember the thing you did well. Okay, you might have done so many things well in your life. Out of 10 you might have done one mistake. This is not a big issue. Okay, next, take up challenges and do not believe you have failed before you have tried. Okay, before trying, don't just give up. Take up the challenges. You have to face the challenges. You have to taste that also. Okay, so that you can learn some new things from it. Always remember, failure is a step towards success. This is a proverb, well-known proverb to all of us, right? Failures are the stepping stones to success. Do not give up. This is the point you have to by heart throughout your life, that you should never give up. Keep trying, keep trying. Okay, continue to update yourself. As you update your mobiles, you have to update yourself also in terms of GK, skills and thoughts, even thoughts also. Actually, we are updating ourselves in this knowledge and these skills, technical skills, all that, but we are not updating ourselves in our thoughts in the sense in a positive thoughts, right? Next topic for today's is under soft skills we are going to learn about body language. It is a very important communication skills. Under communication skills, it comes under non-verbal language. You might have heard this proverb, actions speak more louder than words. So actions means the body language, whether it is a facial language, facial expressions, or the hand or leg gestures, everything comes under body language. It's a non-verbal communication. You have two type of communication, verbal and non-verbal communication. Verbal communication means speaking, okay, talking to someone, okay, here. But non-verbal communication, maximum of them, they won't give importance to the non-verbal communication. When you command over the non-verbal communication or the body language, you can grasp the things what the people, the strangers are when they are speaking to you, what they meant by doing just those gestures. Now we'll see this body language. To become effective communicator, one should know the non-verbal aspect of communication. Non-verbal aspect of communication means communication without words. Means in body language we won't talk any single word here. We just communicate with our body language. It can be a facial expression, it can be a hand gestures. This non-verbal communication can be through body language, gestures, touch, posture, standing, sitting posture, or through objects like clothing, okay, like clothing also, voice quality, or the way we use or perceive time. Unlike verbal communication, which is conscious and deliberate, verbal communication we say it knowingly, but non-verbal communication is usually instinctively and spontaneously. Immediately it comes out, okay, with unknowingly it comes out. Even suppose when you talk to your friend or in a group or in a family itself, if you take, when there is a small clash, if you won't say anything also, the other person gets irritated or they become angry with you. Then you simply say that I didn't said a single word, I didn't spoke even to her, then also she is just firing at me. Then what may be the reason? It may be your body language which might have hurt them, right? This body language is very important when you communicate with others in the society. Okay, at home it's okay, but when you're working in a company with others, then you have to be very cautious and you have to learn this. See, many of them, they are very bad in reading the body languages, okay? So you have to be very alert and very cautious when you move with the strangers in a society. This is even main part of the communication that we sometimes ignore. We won't give importance to our body language. We just ignore it. We neglect it. Non-verbal communication or body language is the process of transmitting message. What we are doing? We are transmitting message through non-linguistic signs. When teacher asks to come here, what gestures she will do? She will just move her hand and she will just ask you to come or to sit, right? Both spoken and written. It is the process of communicating through wordless message. What is it? It's a wordless. You won't use any word here. Wordless message. In non-verbal communication, we do not make use of words. Sentences, grammar and other structure associated with spoken and written language. When a baby cries, these are the examples. When a baby cries, a small infant baby cries without using any language, immediately the mother guesses that, okay, the baby might be crying because she might be hungry. Okay, when your teacher has a serious expression on his or her face, what do you understand? When the teachers show such type of expression, she means that you have to mind your own business. You might be disturbing the class, so she simply looks at you with a serious face, right? Then immediately, without saying a single word, you immediately understand, okay, teacher is serious about this issue, so I have to stop and I have to do my work, or I have to continue my study. You can also communicate with what is in your mind or by raising your hand. Suppose in a class, if you have any doubt, so what you will do? Simply stand, or you will simply raise your hand. So here you are not using any word. By simply using your body language, you are communicating with the other person. Or simply by nodding, shaking your hand, okay, coughing, or by raising from your chair. All these are instances of non-verbal communication. You can use your eyes, head, facial expressions and postures to enhance your communication. You might have experience at home also. When you went to your mother or father to ask for more money to go for a party, their serious look that immediately tells, only they are not saying any word, only by their look they were just saying you to be alert, or they meant that you need not ask money anymore. Okay, during communication, one must not only use non-verbal cues. While communicating with anyone, we won't use only non-verbal, but we also use verbal responses also. So both verbal and non-verbal are used when we communicate with people. So here, for example, when people are bored, they may yarn in the midst of a serious lecture. They may yarn, avlintalu antamu. Okay, in the midst of a serious lecture, if they are excited or enthused, they may clap or whistle, as you may see in a cinema hall. These signals offer valuable feedback to the sender of the message. Next, you also need to be aware of cultural differences. Here, in Indian culture, we just greet the people by holding both the hands and saying namaste. When you go to the foreign country, their culture is when they greet the people, they give shake hand or they just kiss, right? So you should be aware of the cultural differences when using or interpreting body language. For instance, for example, shaking the head while speaking or listening to someone speak, which is widely understood and accepted in Indian culture. In Indian culture, when someone says something, we have a habit of shaking the head. If you won't shake your head, what the other person think that you are listening to me or not? They will raise a question. Okay, so here we have a habit of shaking our head while listening or speaking to someone to make the other person know that, okay, really you are giving some interest or putting your effort to listen to him. Is not used in other cultures. It is mostly accepted in our Indian culture, but in other culture it is not accepted. They may get confused. It may cause confusion if you do so in other cultures. While eye contact, facial expressions, body posture, gestures and dress are obvious non-verbal communication cues or signals, others that strongly influence interpretation of messages include the tone, the volume and the pitch of the speaker's voice also indicates the non-verbal cues. Verbal and non-verbal communication may occur together. See in this example, if you met a friend after so many years, so here what we have seen, verbal and non-verbal communication go hand by hand. So here when she asks many years, you may shake hand warmly and ask him or her, where have you been? While shaking hands, you may ask this question. So by shaking, you are doing the non-verbal communication, and by asking where have you been, it's a verbal communication. Both the communication are going side by side. In broad sense, body language is communication without the use of written or spoken words and includes the following. Now see this one. Facial expressions, commonly used to convey emotions and attitudes through eyes and other facial expressions. Eyes or other facial expressions, that I'll show you the table where you can see different facial expressions with different eye movements. Next one is the gestures. Gesture means the physical movement of the body parts that conveys certain moods and feelings. Okay. Next one is the posture, the ways we hold ourselves to different moods or attitude. I mean, it can be a standing posture, it can be sitting posture. It shows your mood at particular situation or particular time, how you're thinking, or how is your mental state. Next one is the proxemics. Proxemics is the physical space around the people when you communicate, the distance, how much distance you maintain while communicating with the people. Next one is the paralanguage, is the study of voice quality, volume or speech rate, or the manner of speaking beyond the said words, is the way of speaking, is the way of volume, or we can say the quality, voice quality. Physical context, like room designing, furniture decoration, etc. So we have another topic apart from the body language. You have proxemics also. Next one is chronemics. Chronemics means the study of the time, like punctuality, amount of time spent with another and time spent in waiting for others, means time maintenance, punctuality. Haptics, the study of touching in communication situation. Next one is artifacts, includes non-verbal message signs that an individual sends across through appearance, clothing, personal objects. Now these are the facial and the eye expressions. First one is the eyebrow with upper and lower eyelids raised. It means that it is excitement or surprise. Eyebrows with upper and lower eyelids closed with tight lips. It shows anger, tension or pain. Sideways glance of eyes. It means suspicion, doubt. Steady eye contact. It means you are an active listener. No eye contact means you don't have any interest, disinterest. Half raised eyebrows means you are in worry. Half closed eyes means you are feeling bored. Shifting eyes means hiding something. Roving eyes, arrogance and power means rotating your eyes, moving here and there. Okay, closed eyes, desire for privacy. Veiled eyes, boredom and disinterest. Wrinkled eyebrow, sign of stress. Nodding of head, assent or tolerance, acceptance or tolerance. Rapid nodding of head, impatience to butt into conversation. Pursed lips, lack of openness. Next one, trembling lips, emotional upheaval. Up curved mouth, happiness. Down curved mouth, frown face, unhappiness. Smiling face, friendliness. Raised eyebrow, disbelief, amazement. Biting lips, you might have seen this one in many movies also, nervousness, or you also might be doing this one, right? Biting lips. Seldom avoiding eye contact, dishonesty or deception. Constant gaze or repeat mutual eye contact. It's intense love and affection. These are the few body languages or facial expressions. Now if you see these first 5 points, the person who is having a confident person have such type of posture. Which type of posture? Standing tall with shoulders back. The person who is having confident. This body language you can find in him or her. Eye contact is solid with a smiling face. Tone of voice is moderate to low, gentle to low. Gesture with hands and arms, it's purposeful and deliberate. When they require, then only they move. Speech is slow and clear. Next one is defensiveness. This comes under positive body language. This comes under negative body language. If you have a defensiveness nature, definitely you won't have a good friend circle. So what are the symbols or what are the signals? Hands and arm gestures are small and close to the body. Suppose if a student come to you with a first prize she got in some match or some other thing, or in some tournament, if she comes to you with lot of enthusiasm, okay, if you won't show any interest in her or him, then what happens? When the person immediately comes to you, what you'll do? Oh, hello, hi, congratulations, we appreciate them, right? If you won't do anything, what the other person will think? Okay, I simply wasted my energy coming to her or him. Okay, so if you show such type of body language, you may be losing your friend circle or you may be losing your growth. Next one is facial expressions are minimal. If she came with lot of happiness, if I won't show that much happiness as she is feeling, if I don't have any facial expression, I will just be in a normal way, means without any expressions, what the other person will think of me? Okay, what they will think? See, the person, he or she doesn't have any emotions or feelings, and she will start circulating this message to each and everyone whomever she meets in her way, right? Body is physically turned away from you. When the person comes, you might be turned to some other side because you are lacking interest in him or her, right? Arms are crossed in front of body, means your body is tight. You are not free. I maintain little contact or are downcast. You might be not seeing her or him. Means there is no solid eye contact. There is no eye contact at all. You may be seeing somewhere else or even seeing the flow. Okay, lacking interest. See, these are the body language you have to. Suppose if you are giving a seminar or a speech in a public or in a hall or in a auditorium, then if you find such type of body language in the audience, then you have to guess that they are not giving any interest in your lecture or in your speech or in your seminar, right? Lacking interest. What the audience will do? Their heads are down. Next one, the eyes are glazed and are gazing at something else. Okay, they might be looking somewhere else. Next one, hands may be picking at clothes and fiddling with pens. They may be playing with pens or they may be picking some threads from their clothes. People may be writing or doodling or scribbling. Okay. Next, they may be sitting slumped in their chairs. Means they won't be erect. Next part in our body language is the proxemics. What is the proxemics? Proxemics is the study of the space around us to communicate. When you communicate with when you communicate with the people in the society, how much distance you maintain. The distance what we maintain while communicating is known as proxemics, right? Proxemics is a personal space language. When you talk to your friends, your space between both of you is distance is less. When you are with your family members, even it is more less. When you are talking to the stranger, it is little more. When you are giving a speech in a public gathering, it's too long, right? So this is called a proxemics, is a personal space language. As kinesic is the body language, man has his own personal portable air bubble that he carries around him. Air bubble is nothing but the distance, right? Edward T. Hall coined these air bubble or space as proxemics and described 4 types of informal spaces to know human relationship. First one is the intimate. Second one is the personal. Intimate means the person who are very close to us. This is the personal, means the friends, relatives. This is a social gathering. Okay, this is a public space. How much space you have to give between them? This is only 1.5 feet or maybe less than that. When you talk to a personal, and then it is near about 4 feet, maximum of 4 feet. Social gathering is 4 to 12 feet. In public gathering it is 12 to, it can be more than that also. Next, first one we'll see in detail. It's the intimate space. Intimate space is up to 18 inches. Our family members, close friends and special friends, persons are allowed to enter. These selected people are special people as they enjoy special status. For communication, either silence or at the most whispered words used. Means silent murmuring also you can use. Handshake, pat on the back or shoulders are quite noticed in this space. Okay, next one is the personal space. Next to intimate space is the personal space extending from 18 inches to 4 feet, meant for conversation with peers, means same age group people, friends, trustworthy colleagues. Here talking is permitted in spontaneous and unprogrammed way in relaxed and casual mood. Next one is the social space. Here space extending from 4 feet to 12 feet is used for formal and official relationship. Most of the business is done within this area. So working purpose we can use the social space. While feeling and emotions are shared in intimate or personal zone, thinking rules over emotion in social space. Most of the communication in social space is with reason and planning. Most of the communication is with reason and planning. Compared with intimate and personal zone, communication becomes relatively formal in this space of zone. So here before it was informal, now here in social space it becomes formal. Last one is the public space. Public space differs from 4 feet or more up to the eyesight or hearing. You can see the social gathering, the meetings conducted by the ministers. There you can see a huge gathering. Okay, lot of people gather in one place. So here up to the eyesight and hearing is meant for public meeting. Here communication is very formal. Here communication is very formal and the person has to be very alert about what he speaks in the public, because objective and detached and dispassionate. In this space, informal talks are avoided as public image has to be maintained. So these are the precautions one has to take while maintaining a distance and when they are talking in public and when they are communicating. The distance maintained by people during communication in office and elsewhere tells a lot about their relationship. Okay, what it tells about? It tells about their relationship. Similarly, authority, power and status can be indicated by the location of the office and its sitting arrangement also. Okay, thank you. I hope you might have understood this topic very well. Go through the topic, go through the material which you have got, okay, so that every point may be clear. So stay home, stay safe. Thank you.